Just on other news, I mentioned Mark Butler, the Health Minister. He addressed the National Press Club today, and he's decided that the government's going to crack down on teenage usage of vapes. Here's what Mark Butler had to say at the Press Club today.
Our focus is not on the people buying, our focus is on the people selling. Yeah, this has been a vendor-driven, corporate-driven phenomenon that we've seen. And so when we talk about enforcement, the state and territory governments and us, we're focused very much on importers and vendors.
Aaron, I don't know about you, but I think he's very optimistic. I mean, how do you put that genie back in the bottle?
Well, it's easy for Mark Butler to say he's focused on vendors, but if he introduces laws making vaping illegal, then who's going to get in trouble? It's going to be teenagers and young people, because they like vaping, you know, and I know it's not great, but they will do it even if the government bans it. And the danger is you sort of got a bunch of young people who may be criminalised, get criminal records for essentially having a smoke behind the shed at school, and that's not great.
It's not, and I just think it's almost impossible to stop. I mean, you know, we can't stop the illicit drug trade. How the hell do we think we're going to stop the black market importation of vapes that are going to end up forcing teenage kids to go somewhere less safe than a retail store to buy them? I mean, I don't like vaping either, and I've never done it, and I wouldn't like my children to do it, but it's a fact of life. It's happened. I just think that it's too hard to stop.
Well, also, the world is sort of moving towards legalisation or decriminalisation of marijuana. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's the way people are going. You know, you can buy marijuana on any block in Manhattan. In a lot of places in Australia, the police aren't really enforcing it. But at the same time, we're going to criminalise teenagers for sucking on these vapes, which are really popular. So it just smacks as sort of policy on the run. Doesn't seem very well thought through.
Aaron, I think you make an excellent point about marijuana. I mean, I did a little bit of a deep dive today on just what the marijuana laws now are in individual states, but we know that Labor governments, particularly in Queensland and Victoria and South Australia, are all looking at decriminalising marijuana, and it's not going to be long, I don't think, before we have the same sort of marijuana retail shops that you talk about in the States, and of course many Australians find when they go to Thailand.
Look, I think you're right, Steve. I think we're a few years behind the US on this, and so we sort of, as a society, I think we should face up to it. I think we should have an honest debate about drugs, alcohol, and marijuana, and whether and how if we legalise them, how we're going to control them to minimise the harm to young people, to minimise the danger on the roads, because I think a lot of Australians smoke it, and that's the reality, and perhaps we should just deal with that.